Rock Lee's a fan favorite in Naruto, and for good reason. The fact that he remembers the past without dwelling upon it gives him the drive to improve and ultimately become a better ninja. So in today's episode, I figured we can follow Lee's example and take a look back at the humble beginnings of Naruto, as well as the history of the Sannin tournament, then pose a question to you guys, the viewers. So let's go ahead and get started.
Ready?
Bandai launched their Naruto card game in April of 2006, making the game over 3 years old as of this date. Organized play began in May of the same year, giving away one of 4 promo cards to players at their venues. When Naruto was new and only had a few sets under its belt, it was a very different game than what it is today. For those of you who played back then, you can remember some of the successful strategies that set the stage for many of the deck building choices that are used up until the present day. The deck limit was 40 instead of 50. Tide of the Deadly Combat was a game-winning mission card. Ibisu was heavily splashed. Sakura's Decision wasn't as widely used as it is today. Windex had to rely on resolving Wind-style Great Breakthrough, then following up by dropping Baki Cleaning Up to cripple the opponent. And if you wanted to play Draw Power, you had to play Water. In late 2006, Sasuke Analysis of Competence was the zero drop of choice, regardless of what element you are running. Eternal Rivalry brought with it many other cards that would be considered staple, with the Inashikacho formation cards being splashed in almost every deck as well. Zabuza, Demon of Cloud Village, Twin Snake Sacrifice, the Demon Brothers, The End of the Demon, and Water-style Giant Vortex Jutsu kept water-themed decks at the top tables. But it would be the powerhouse known as Freedori that put fire-themed decks over the top. You guys remember Freedori, right? Remember? You remember. Abusing cards like Chidori and Sasuke Beyond the Limits before it received its errata to power through and take down Ninja up the curve. It was a very effective game plan. And it also used Kakashi, Early Settlement, and the Third Hokage addressing past wrongs, another card before it received its errata, to help round out its late game if it ever needed to, if it didn't, beat you before then. Jonin and Kage events around the nation would determine what decks and playstyles were dominant, but in 2007, Joe Cologne would become the first winner of the annual Sannin event at Gen Con. He piloted the Freedori deck he dubbed Katon to victory. The Leaf Village's own, and I apologize in advance for butchering this name, Jerry Balentuengen would be the next to earn the title Sannin when he used his Mono Fire deck to outwit the competition in 2008. During this time, Gigantic Fan was a very popular jutsu, being able to negate the likes of Vortex and 8 Trigram for only a single Wind Chakra. Realizing this, Jerry would use only jutsu that had only one specific symbol in the cost, opting to give up the power of 8 Trigram to make sure his jutsu would resolve. No doubt the assumption he made about this event's meta and this deck building decision were major contributors to his victory that day. And that brings us to the most recent Sannin, the one we all know that Thomas Chow, I believe, won in 2009. Going through the previous 2 Sannin of Joe Cologne, who took 2nd place that day, and Jerry, who took 7th place. Thomas used a puppet build that exploited the ninja advantage the deck could accumulate with Konkoro, Ibizo, Chiyo, and their puppets, and abused it with cards like Substitute that could make sure he had a manipulation ninja in his village, or Arbitration, which I'm sure made the organization step a headache for his opponent. To set up his combos, Thomas soared through his deck with cards like Sakura, a double personality, long-awaited reinforcements, Sasori of the Red Sand, and Sakura's Decision, with the Shikamaru Tamari platoon for a great target. Hopefully that little recap of the history of the game has shown some insight on the competitive aspect of the game. If we've learned nothing else from the winners of the Sannin events, it's that consistency is important to a deck, but understanding the cards and playing the meta is an important factor to developing that consistency. Keeping these points in mind, coupled with a lot of practice, can transform you into a champion. Then, who knows, maybe I'll be covering your deck as the new 2010 Sannin. Every now and again I get a message asking me a question or giving me a show idea. But if any of you have a question you'd like for me to answer on the show, send me a message entitled Question and Answer, and I'll read your question on the show and give my best answer that I can. Any subject related to the game is acceptable. Whatever you want to ask is fine. Also, if you have a subject that you'd like for me to talk in depth about, like a deck or a card or whatever the case may be, send me a message entitled Topic of Choice, and I'll go over, I guess I'll choose one of them to go over and feature it in the video, stating who you are and stuff like that. Those of you who state your name and village that you're from get their messages covered first, so make sure you do that. Thanks again for watching the show, and I look forward to reading your messages soon.